Welcome back to another sophisticated Saturday where together we work through my to-do list and get things done around the house. Today I had a fun recipe that I am going to share with you. I was making shrimp and grits. If you've been following me, you know that I am trying to use up things that are in my fridge, my pantry, and my freezer to try and just get through the products that I already own and try to use them up before they go bad, but also to save a little bit of money on my grocery bills. A whole lot of reasons, but one of the things I had in my pantry was grits, so might as well try and make some shrimp and grits out of this. And I found a new recipe. I had made a different grits recipe, which was originally why I bought it, but found one that looked really good on Google as I was just searching through recipes, and it had a corresponding recipe for buttermilk biscuits with it, which I thought sounded really good. And I've never made homemade buttermilk biscuits before, and these are like the flaky, almost Pillsbury Grand style. So I'm going to end up folding them on top of themselves quite a few times so they have little flaky layers that you can pull apart. These turned out delicious. I really like the shrimp and grits as well, so would recommend both recipes, but was very surprised and happily surprised at how these buttermilk biscuits turned out. And that's what I started with making today. I got my dough ready in the food processor here. I got all of the dry ingredients in, and then was going to add in the cold butter and pulse that up just a little bit, and figured I would make these biscuits a little bit earlier in the day, just get them out of the way and prepped, and then I could make the shrimp and grits right before we had dinner. I had some powdered buttermilk in my refrigerator. I like using this powdered buttermilk because it lasts a really long time as opposed to the liquid buttermilk that you'd buy at the grocery store. And this one I found, I think on Amazon. I have bought the powdered stuff in the grocery store, but have for some reason been having trouble recently finding it in the grocery store. So I opted for this one on Amazon, and then you just add in water to make the equivalent of buttermilk, and have never had an issue with the taste of it or anything like that. And then I always have buttermilk on hand for different baking projects that I'm doing because I do love to bake so much, and I hate having to buy a whole thing of fresh buttermilk from the grocery store and then not using the entire container. It's just wasted money, it's wasted food. So this works out a lot better for me.
Somehow, I keep your picture close to my bed now, and waiting for the screen to light up, to light up. Hey, I'm here for you. Are you reading every message I send to you?
You'll see I have the recipe right next to me there because this is completely new to me and I've never made it before. I did stir in that last bit there. It does say to do that by hand, and probably should have stirred it a little bit better, but because I didn't put it in a separate bowl, the middle part of the food processor made it pretty hard to fully stir. So you're not necessarily supposed to knead this bread, but I am doing a little bit of a kneading action just to get it all together into one clump on a floured surface there. And then we'll start to cut it in half because I doubled the recipe, which I always do when I'm making stuff that I know we're gonna like or we'll eat lots of, or could always freeze some of these. But I'm very carefully reading the instructions, patting it out into sections. You're gonna cut it into thirds, and I'm gonna skip ahead here because again, I'm gonna do this twice. So I'm gonna skip ahead to the second dough that I made so you can see exactly how I do this, and do threes, pat it out, and then do threes again, and you're making this rectangular shape, patting it out to, I think it's at about 3/4 of an inch thick. And now after making this recipe and eating it, I probably would have patted it a little bit thinner and would have been a little bit more precise, I guess I would say, with how my layers looked and things like that, because I think it would have made an even flakier biscuit and it would have made those flakes just a little bit more consistent.
Somebody else. Hey, I'm here for you. Are you reading every message I send to you? Love is overdue, but you know that I could never give up on you. Hey, I'm here for you. Are you reading every message I send to you? Love is overdue, but you know that I could never give up on you.
I made 24 biscuits, but if you make just one batch of it, it is 12 biscuits. So you cut it down the line and make 12 little squares there. Again, I wasn't being very precise, so I made more like 12 rectangles, but it's just us, so it doesn't matter how they look. They tasted great, and I am going to pop those in the oven.
And we won't ever get enough.
So although the biscuits may not be perfectly formed, I can tell you that they are delicious. This was just a random little project. I had been putting away some of my laundry the other day and felt like my drawers were a little overstuffed and I hadn't properly put a few things away as I was folding my laundry. Probably my fault, stuffed things in there. So I'm just gonna quickly go through each drawer in my dresser and do a little bit of rearranging. This isn't for decluttering or anything like that, although sometimes I like doing that every now and then as I just go through my house and pick a few drawers, do a quick refresh and pull some things out that I'm not wearing anymore or not using anymore. But this was more just a folding issue and an overstuffing issue. Probably also because since I'm pregnant right now, I have introduced my maternity wardrobe to my dresser and I've just kind of integrated it into where all of my other clothing is, because sometimes I wear things that are non-maternity, other times I wear things that are maternity, depending on the fit and how comfortable I am at that point in my pregnancy. I did play around with the idea of having like a full separate drawer of all of my maternity clothing last time I was pregnant and ended up not doing that just because I felt like when I'm looking for a shirt, I want to go where all of my shirts are. Or if I'm looking for a pair of yoga pants, sometimes I can fit in my old yoga pants. Some of them are too uncomfortable. Other times I just want my stretchy maternity pants. So it's a lot easier for me to just have everything integrated, but it does mean the drawers get a little bit more stuffed. Speaking of an area that's overstuffed, I have a lot of swimsuits here and I just got a maternity swimsuit because I am planning on going on a baby moon coming up here soon. So I need one for the water. I was with my parents and my family and was swimming a little bit while pregnant, and now Owen takes swim lessons, so I need to be in the water with him. And with my last pregnancy, did not need to be swimming at all. So it's new that I needed a maternity swimsuit. Next up, I'm doing a quick refresh in Owen's room, putting away a lot of the books. He likes to pull out as many books as possible and tries to get us to read all of them to him every single night. And then going to do a restock of some diapers and wipes in his little diaper and wipe caddy there.
We gon' do it like they do in the movies. We gon' ride until the sunset, just you and me. We gon' sing along to our songs at the top of our lungs. We gon' do it like they do in the movies. The movies, the movies. We gon' do it like they do in the movies. The movies, the movies. We gon' do it like they do in the movies.
Now that the biscuits have fully cooled, I'm going to put them in a Ziploc bag for later because, again, I made these just a little bit earlier in the day and want them to stay as fresh as possible.
We've been here too long. I can't breathe, I can't take it slow. We're far away from home, but I can't wait to get you under my skin and right back to where we've been.
Next up, I'm cleaning Owen's high chair area, which is something that needs to be done 3 times a day after breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He is a messy eater and kind of a food thrower. We're trying to stop him from throwing food. I think some kids are just more inclined to play around with their food than others, but it's something we're working on, and I hope the phase doesn't last too long, mostly because it's very messy and just a lot of cleanup every single time. I figured because all of the mess we've had recently on the floor, I might as well do the wet dry vac and mop and vacuum all of the kitchen floors at the same time. This tool is so incredibly nice. I love having the ability to mop and vacuum all at once, pick up those crumbs, but also mop the floors. This is one tool that I didn't have when I was in my apartment that I am so grateful for now that we have a house and a lot more hardwood surfaces, but it also does little area rugs as well. It does really well on bigger area rugs, so like my entryway rug that holds down very well on the ground and has a little bit of weight to it. I love using it on that. Otherwise, I don't know how I would clean that area rug. Otherwise, I don't know how I would deep clean that area rug. Smaller little doormats and stuff can be a tiny bit difficult because the suction's so good that it pulls it up a little bit, which you'll see in a second when I do the small rug by the side patio door there.
To be here and to get you under my skin and right back to where we've been. Give me a sign and tell me when to begin. Oh yeah, let me know now. Let me know now.
It feels like this process takes a long time, but then when I think about the fact that if I didn't have this tool, I would have to do a full pass of this kitchen and living room area twice, once to vacuum and once to mop. With that perspective, it is actually pretty quick to do this. If you are a regular viewer, you might notice that we have some new chairs in the living room here. We just got 2 small chairs, and I shared that on Instagram. I did have somebody say that it would look way better if I scooted them away from the wall and moved them towards the couch a little bit and made like a cozier seating area, which I think is a really good idea. The only problem is we have that play mat there, and you're not supposed to put heavy furniture on it. It's not a rug, it is a play mat, so it would probably damage it keeping those chairs on it permanently. So I guess let me know what you think of the setup. I still want to put a little table there so people can set drinks down, maybe a lamp or some artwork behind there. That tall plant that we have in the corner, I might move that to the little table to give it a little bit more height in that space. But overall, very happy with how it looks. Speaking of the food throwing issue, we have gotten a lot of splatter on the walls, so since I'm doing a little deep clean here in the kitchen with the floors and the tabletop, I figured might as well get out a magic eraser, try and get off some of those spots on the wall there and the baseboards. One more quick thing I wanted to do in terms of cleaning was to clean up the basement here. Owen's been really into coloring, and so he's been having all of his coloring stuff out and using the magic eraser here on this little play table that he has. It took all of the crayon marks off, no problem. I spent the rest of nap time getting work done on my computer here. I had videos to edit, I had a mess on my desk, I had emails to respond to, just a whole lot of administrative things to do here in my office, so got as much done as I could until Owen woke up.
It's alright.
Now it was a little bit later in the day and time to finally prepare dinner, so I got my recipe out for the shrimp and grits and started pulling out all of the different ingredients so I could get that going and get some hot, delicious dinner on the table. This shrimp and grits recipe had bacon in it, and after you take the bacon out, you keep the bacon grease in there and do a lot of the cooking of things in the bacon grease, which probably brought a whole lot of flavor to the dish. And I will say the sauce of this shrimp and grits, like the sauce around the shrimp, was just delicious. I would like drizzle it on the grits. I wish it made more sauce. So if you're making it and you can like double the ingredients that go with the shrimp, I maybe wouldn't double it, but having more of the sauce was an added benefit. I got those veggies all steamed in there and nice and reduced. And then you make a little bit of a roux there. So you add in flour, mix it up before you add in your other ingredients like your chicken stock, which I had pre-measured out there, the first cup, and added in a little bit more. And then for the grits portion of this recipe, it is a quick cooking grits. It is a 5-minute grit is what I had in the pantry. It does say quick cooking grits. So the grits really don't take long at all, and you can do those right before the rest of your meal is completely ready.
This doesn't make any sense. You're broken down all my defenses. No way back to the old me. When I'm stuck here on planet X, I'll become the person I've hated. Wonder what will happen next. Yeah, I don't.
The part that took the longest about this was boiling the milk, and you will see the complete close call I had for the milk boiling over. It took so long, it felt like, for this milk to boil, and then all of a sudden it just started rising so rapidly, and I even tried to like turn off the temperature and it just got to the edge. Tiny drips came over, but it could have been a huge kitchen disaster. After those grits are nice and thick, you can add in the cheese, and it makes such a delicious, creamy texture. Jim and I both thoroughly enjoyed these grits. So that is it for today's video. We are going to go enjoy some dinner. I'm so glad you were here with me today and joined me for this sophisticated Saturday. But until next time, I will see you all later.